Did you know that your reflection matters? And it matters perhaps more than you think it does? Hey, John Terry, the Black Belt Leader, and welcome to this Black Belt Leadership Master Your Life podcast. I want to take a few moments and I want to talk about why your reflection matters. In high school, I had an opportunity to take a class in photography, and I will never forget one of the assignments that I was given was to create a photographic essay of reflection. That was the entire assignment. And we had great discretion in that particular class to create a visual essay of reflection. And that essay amounted to an incredibly high percentage of our grade for that semester. So it was a project that nobody wanted to take lightly. So I grabbed my camera and I went home, and the first thing I did was I looked for my sister. Now, this is not the picture I took. I wished I still had those pictures from back several years ago, but I had an opportunity to think into reflections. And of course, a picture in a mirror is an obvious reflection. And that reflection mattered because in the example that I took in the picture I shot was a picture of my sister Tanya as she was brushing her hair and applying her makeup, getting ready to go to an event that she was going to be singing at. And as a result of that, I'll never forget having to stand in the bathtub, standing against the back wall up on the edges of the tub to get the angle just right to be able to get the picture that I wanted to give an example of reflection in the mirror. Now, not every picture in this essay could be of a mirror. It had to be different images of reflection. So my second image was a picture of a bird in a bird feeder having an opportunity to look at his or her reflection in the water. Again, not the picture I took, but this gives you an idea of another form of reflection. I was down to 2 out of 3 images. And as I began to think into a third image in this particular essay, I had to take a picture of. I had a unique opportunity to take a reflective picture that really cemented the A for me and became the image that impressed my teacher the most. Now, what was that picture? It was a picture of my sister. Now, in this particular picture of my sister, again, I wished I had it, but I don't. She was sitting on a stone bench, looking up into the sky, her hand on her chin, in a moment of personal reflection. It was a very poignant pose of my sister Tanya, pausing to think back over her day with a sense of purpose. Now, the image you see here, if you're looking at the video version of this podcast, gives you a very similar image of what I was seeking to capture. Someone who is taking a pause from the busyness of the day to engage in a moment of personal reflection. And here's what I learned, and something my teacher pointed out as he made it a point to show this particular image I saw to every person in the class and make it a point that this particular photograph really spoke to reflection in a very powerful way. And he made a statement that has stuck with me now for many, many years, and that was the fact that your reflection matters. And over the years, here's something that I've learned is that it is this reflection that really matters the most. And it's this moment of reflection in our lives, if we will take the opportunity to truly understand and appreciate what this moment of reflection can be, this moment of reflection can speak loudly, even as it speaks in a whisper. Now, for those of you that are leaders like me, we do what leaders do every single day. We are constantly going, doing, directing, leading others. We are busy, action oriented people who get stuff done. That's who we are and what we are as leaders. Not only are we getting things done, we are motivating, inspiring, encouraging, and equipping other people that we are leading to come alongside us and help us get done what we need to get done to achieve the goal or objective that we are pursuing individually and as an organization. It's those points in time that we stop growing and we quit getting better at who we are and what we do, that our results all of a sudden hit that wall of limitation and we can no longer serve our customer at a higher level. Now, how do we continue to grow? How do we continue to get better? How do we continue to develop ourselves as leaders? It's through understanding that your reflection and my reflection matter. And it's in those moments that we hit the pause button, that we take a time out and we reflect on what we're experiencing and what we're learning. And we take a moment to look into the results that we are experiencing with the audience that we're serving to really do the analysis to determine whether or not there's something that we could be doing better along the way. This last week, I had an opportunity to meet with an incredible young man who's making a difference in the lives of thousands of teenagers across a multi state area. I'd previously been meeting with him for a while, and as he's looking to grow himself personally and professionally as a leader, we began to talk about some different books that he could read. He shared with me that he was an auditory learner, so for him, reading books was difficult. But being able to get books on Audible, being able to listen to podcasts was a way that he could have an opportunity as he is spending quite a bit of time driving in and to the different destinations that he has an opportunity to work with the schools that he's involved in the programs that he works with across a multi state area. He was literally able to turn his vehicle into a university on wheels. And as we were catching up and talking about all the things that he's doing, the success that he's seeing, and he was talking about the fact that he felt like he was hitting a proverbial brick wall and had really hit a lid in his ability to effectively lead the young lives that he was having an opportunity to influence, we began to talk about the different podcasts that he was listening to, the Audible books that he was listening to. And when I posed the question about reflective thinking, all of a sudden, there was an opportunity for a man in the mirror moment. It was one of those uncomfortable, pregnant pauses as he began to realize that he was taking all of this input in, all of this knowledge and information he was pouring into his brain, but he wasn't taking the time as he was taking this information in to digest it, to think into what he was learning and how he could apply it to help himself, to help the other individuals on his team that he was leading, and to ultimately help the students that he was trying to put into a better position to see success in life, accomplish their goals, ambitions, and dreams. And it was the realization that his reflection mattered. And that reflective time was so, so important to growing himself as a leader. We had to spend some time doing some remedial adjustments to his day. And I had to go back and remind him of the importance of bookending his day. Now, I've shared this on previous podcasts, so I'll take just a moment to touch on that. To bookend your day means at the beginning and the end of each day, you're going to read or you're going to listen to something inspirational and educational. And then as a result of what you've heard, you're going to take 10 or 15 minutes to think into what you learned from what you just read or what you just heard, and how you're going to apply that for you personally, how you're going to apply that to those that you're leading, and how ultimately as a team, you're going to apply that information or that knowledge to improve something you're doing to better serve your audience. It's a man in the mirror, woman in the mirror moment that is so, so important. And all too often, we as leaders get so busy leading and loving the fact that we're leading and have an opportunity to see people make a difference in their lives, we forget that if we don't pause and we don't have a man in the mirror or moment in the mirror moment to look into the reflection that matters, and that's what we're learning and how we apply it, that we miss the opportunity to become a better version of ourselves. I think Ray Kroc said it best when he said, as long as you're green, you're growing. But once you're ripe, you start to rot. And when you stop having those reflective man in the mirror, woman in the mirror moments where you're asking yourself key questions about what life is trying to teach you and the lessons it's trying to reveal to you, all of a sudden we separate ourselves from the vine of knowledge that's trying to help us grow and to learn how to apply that knowledge so it becomes wisdom that allows us to uplevel our results and to become a better version of ourselves. We ultimately miss out, as does the audience we serve. So when we're taking those moments of reflective thinking, we're taking those morning and those evening bookends, and we're reading and we're learning. At the end of the day, we're looking back and we're taking some reflective time to think into what we experienced during the day, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the lessons that we can learn from that and how we can apply that to what we're doing. Taking a moment at the end of the day to evaluate what we're doing well that we need to be doing more of, what we're doing okay that if we tweaked it, we could be doing better with that particular activity or action step, but we've not taken the time to analyze how to tweak it to make it better. To also look at the things that we're doing that are lackluster at best and making the decision, do we invest the time into making that particular activity better so that it generates a better return on investment, or do we scrap it and focus our energy and efforts on something else that would be a better and more productive use of our time to better serve our audience well? Taking those times to learn from our failures and where we messed up and understanding the steps that led to the failure so that we don't repeat those in the future. There's specific questions we should be asking ourselves as we evaluate life experience. And let me share a few of those. What did I see today? What did I visually see today that wanted to teach me a lesson? What was it I heard today that I could apply to my life in some way, or I could use to share with a team member or the audience I'm serving that could improve their life? What was it that I did that was successful or unsuccessful? And what did that teach me? What did I experience emotionally and intellectually today? And what did I learn from what I saw, from what I heard, from what I did, and what I experienced? And out of what I learned from that, what out of this is useful for me? What out of what I've learned from what I saw and heard and did and experienced is maybe not useful for me, but it could be useful for another team member? How is it that what I saw and heard and did and experienced, how does it apply to my life? What are the lessons those things are trying to teach me to make me a better version of myself? And ultimately, how do I become a better version of me? I think back to a story I remember a chaplain sharing with me about some recent time where he was deployed over in the Middle East and was leading a platoon of soldiers. And every day, as his soldiers would come back from their particular activities that they were involved in, they had a time of reflective thinking where they talked through their day and individually they shared what they experienced, what they saw, what they heard, what they did, all of the things that they observed, dangers that they came across that others needed to know in case they came across those same dangers. Excuse me, opportunities to help, opportunities to make a difference. And as they begin to share what they experienced during the day, the collective mastermind of the group had an opportunity to learn from the reflective experience of each individual. And as a result of that, the team learned collectively from the individual experiences of each team member, which made them a more cohesive, a better, more focused, more observant, and more efficient team. They came back as a unit, safe, unhurt, unharmed, but with some incredible stories of the difference and the opportunities they had to serve the people that they were there to serve in an incredible way as a result of engaging daily in a process of reflective thinking. I've thought about how brilliant would that be for those of us that are leading a team to take some time, if not every day, but once a week, to talk about what we have experienced individually through our lives that particular day or that week, and the lessons we could learn from each other that allow us to see things from a different perspective, to get an aha moment because we all see the world differently through a different lens that we call life, but we can all learn from each other. How much better could we perform as a team when we learn to appreciate and gain value and insight from everybody's input in the organization? How valuable could that be in ultimately serving the end user audience, the customer that you're serving to create a better outcome for them and an experience that keeps them coming back and being engaged with you. One of the things that I've heard Dr. John say in my time spent with Dr. John Maxwell is he says experience is not the best teacher, but reflected experience is. I want to remind you of this: reflection is a good teacher, and reflection can be one of the best teachers that you can ever have if you're willing to pause long enough to listen and to learn. Because reflection will scream volumes, but it will scream volumes of powerful life lessons, often in a whisper. Now, I want you to hear what I said. Reflection will scream out all these incredible lessons that we can learn that life is trying to teach us, but only if we'll pause long enough to listen and to learn and to remember that reflection often screams in a whisper. So let me remind you that your reflection matters. Out of all the things that you as a leader can do, it's important that you understand that as a leader, you have the welfare and the well being of the other team members on your team in your care. Every member on the team that you are leading, you are responsible for their welfare and their well being. The ultimate success of the organization rests with you. And if you're not taking the time to engage in reflective thinking, my question to you is, how well are you leading? When we think about reflective thinking, we've got to consider how we are planning and how we are implementing. And it's through times of reflective thinking that we can analyze our planning and analyze our implementation. And it's there that we can learn and discover new and innovative ways to accomplish more and to do more. So let me challenge you with this: black belt excellence doesn't happen by default. Living a life of black belt excellence requires that every day you're going to engage in a time of reflective thinking, giving life the opportunity to reveal to you the lessons that it's trying to teach you every single day. But often we're too busy to pay attention. And if you want to truly be a black belt leader in life, and you want to truly discover, develop, and deploy your own unique black belt leader within, you've got to take the time to engage in reflective thinking. Your reflection matters. And remember, if you're willing to settle for good enough is the enemy of excellent. So don't allow good enough and not having the opportunity to reflect on how you can continually get better allow you to rob the audience that you serve of an opportunity to be served with black belt excellence every single day. Hey, I'm John Terry, the Black Belt Leader. I want to say thanks for joining me for this particular episode of the Black Belt Leader Master Your Life podcast. If we've not connected on social media, I encourage you to do so. Be a blackbeltleader.com, tons of course content, number of great resources. Visit our contact us page, and you can follow us on all of our social media platforms where we're regularly sharing information, tools, insights, and wisdom to help you continue to up-level your opportunities to grow yourself as a black belt leader. Thanks for joining me, and have a great day.